What's happening, Facebook? I am going live, as you can see, for the first time. Yes, this is my first time going live too. Yeah. As you can see, introduce. What's that? Why it say finish? I'm not finished.
I don't know. That's just saying.
Oh, okay.
When you finish. Oh, you got some viewers out there?
Hey. Okay, introduce yourself.
She had a name that carried weight before she ever made it big, Jokisha Brown. But the world knew her as Kisha. And in Atlanta's entertainment scene, she went by something even bigger, Dynasty. Queen Pen. Names she chose for herself. Names that said, I am not here to be overlooked. She had left Jacksonville, Florida behind and planted herself in Atlanta, the city where ambitions either bloom or get buried. She was modeling, acting, dancing, building something real, one independent project at a time, all while raising her teenage son. She was 35 years old, weeks away from her birthday, and she was still pushing, still climbing. And then, on April 7th, 2016, the man she trusted walked into her home in Duluth, Georgia, and destroyed everything.
Just finished working out. I'm tired as ever. Let me tell y'all something that I really, really hate. And ladies, I know you guys are going to be able to relate. Fellas, you're not going to really be able to relate. But, don't you hate when you use, like, public restrooms and stuff like that? You know, we have to slide. I mean, we can't sit on the toilets and you accidentally piss on your leg. I did that so many times. It's so annoying. I just wish I could walk around with my personal toilet because I'm tired of I just be going up in a rush with her and I just be spotting and sitting like that, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh shit, I'm pissed on my damn leg. I get tissue and wipe it on up. Okay, I know. I should have kept it to myself. It's frustrating. Don't you wish you had your own portable toilet? No. I wouldn't want to carry a toilet with me. I take that back too. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Well. Okay. I don't think this was smart. Bye, y'all.
What happened that night was not random. It was not a robbery gone wrong. It was targeted, it was violent, and it was carried out by someone who knew exactly where she lived, exactly what her routine looked like, and exactly how to use her trust against her. She survived it. Let that land for a moment, because what she went through, most people do not walk away from. She survived. She escaped. She reported it. She stood up and pointed at the man responsible and said, "He did this." That took courage that most of us will never be asked to find.
What's going on there? They thought my mom's boyfriend's money was in this house. And they came through the door like super early in the morning. I know that because I woke up with one of them holding a gun to my face. They said if I call the police, when they get back, and the police said they're gonna probably kill my mom. And I kept telling him I don't know where the money is. And he constantly kept putting the gun into my back. They realized that the money wasn't at her house because it's his money. And they went downtown to get his money from his house. He was like, do you know he has over $500,000? I was like, nah, I didn't know that. I know he does music, but I didn't know that. And he was like, yeah, that's the money we're looking for.
But here's the part of this story that will stay with you long after this video ends. Surviving was not enough to keep her safe. On July 1st, 2016, one single day before Kisha Brown was supposed to turn 36 years old, she was found in a parking lot on Cheshire Bridge Road in Atlanta, shot multiple times, gone. She had already beaten the worst night of her life. She had already done what the system asked survivors to do: report, cooperate, trust the process. And someone still got to her.
The tragic mystery in Atlanta that is of particular local interest. Detectives are still trying to solve the killing of a Jacksonville native shot to death in a parking lot.
This happened Friday night as 35-year-old Jokisha Brown was sitting in her car. People know her as Keisha. Police still don't know who pulled the trigger. Channel 4's Ethan Calloway spoke with a man who knew Brown personally.
It was a shock, it was sadness, and it was a hurt because I knew her personally.
Kevin Sapp says he knew Keisha Brown from her time living in Jacksonville. He says the initial pain of finding out she was killed near her home in Atlanta was only made worse learning how she was killed.
She was beautiful inside and out. And if you can see the pictures of her, how beautiful she was that way on the inside also. Just a real sweet, kind-hearted person.
Police say the 35-year-old was shot and killed as she sat in her Mercedes outside of Northeast Atlanta's strip mall Friday night. The aspiring actress and model would have celebrated her 36th birthday the very next day. Detectives are still working to find the person who shot her, along with a motive.
Don't know why, because she was not that kind of person to make enemies. So what happened to her, I don't know why. It still bothers me and it's hurting me now.
For Brown's family, the loss is all too familiar. Keisha's brother, Marlon Bryce, was killed in March during a shootout at Jacksonville's Silver Fox Gentlemen's Club. Sapp describes the legacy he says Brown leaves behind.
Someone that you will always remember, that you'll never have something bad to say about when they're gone. When that person gone, you will remember that person the rest of your life.
So today, we're going to talk about who Keisha really was, what was done to her in April, what happened on that July night, who authorities believe is responsible, and why. To this day, the case of her murder remains officially unsolved. If you are just finding this channel, hit that subscribe button right now, because we cover stories like Keisha's every week, stories that demand to be told. And before we go any further, drop a comment and tell me, where in the world are you watching from? Let's see how far Keisha's story is reaching. Stay with me.
Ex-boyfriend labeled a person of interest in a Jacksonville woman's murder in Atlanta is in custody a year after the crime. Jokeisha Brown was living in Atlanta trying to start a career as a model and an actress when police say she was murdered.
Alfredo Capote is now in custody in Louisiana, charged with the armed robbery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and aggravated sexual battery of 35-year-old Jokeisha Brown this time last year. Investigators say Capote Brown in her Atlanta home with her son present, then kidnapped her, took her to a hotel where he again. The next day, police say she was able to escape and get help from a stranger. Just 3 months later, Brown was found murdered inside her Mercedes outside a beauty salon. Capote was named a person of interest in the murder. Brown was well known in her hometown of Jacksonville, graduating from Ribault High School.
Keisha! We love you! Keisha! Oh, God!
Her friends and family gathered for a vigil just days after her death, saying she was a kind and uplifting person.
Now, Capote was arrested in Shreveport, Louisiana, on charges related to a counterfeiting scheme. He remains locked up on a $600,000 bond, and at this point, it's unclear when he will be extradited back to Atlanta to face charges in the Brown case.
Exclusive: the man accused of kidnapping and this mother might never go to trial because of a mistake by a local district attorney. That suspect was charged and indicted in the kidnapping in Gwinnett County back in 2016.
He was also named a person of interest when that same woman was murdered in Atlanta just months later.
Last year, Capote filed paperwork that would let Gwinnett County transfer and bring him back to Georgia to face trial. Under the law, prosecutors had 180 days to respond. They didn't. In a statement to Channel 2 Action News, District Attorney Patsy Austin Gatson said, quote, "The paperwork cannot be located, and we deeply regret and apologize to the family of the victim." And quote, "The failure to act upon the interstate detainer places our ability to prosecute the case in Gwinnett in jeopardy for the victims." The DA says they will answer the motion to dismiss set for a hearing next month, but admits there's little they can do now, and she's still digging into what happened, saying, quote, "The family deserves justice, and this unfortunate situation does not properly reflect our commitment to pursue and prosecute cases as we're charged. This administration takes responsibility, and we have put in place safeguards to prevent such an occurrence in the future."
More than 4 years after her death, Jokeisha Brown's loved ones are still waiting. They're still seeking justice in her death. This, as the accused killer was in court today. They were there for all of that hearing as he asked a judge to be set free.
I don't think there's actually words to describe the loss that we feel with Keisha not being here. I think there's no amount of justice that can even begin to equate losing someone like her.
Jokeisha Brown's loved ones in court for Friday's proceedings, some joining via Zoom. Alfredo Capote is charged with kidnapping and murdering the model in 2016. In court, defense attorney Bruce Harvey asked the judge to dismiss the case against his client. He argued Capote first requested a speedy trial back in the Gwinnett murder case in June of 2020 while he was housed in a federal prison out of state on an unrelated charge. His attorney told the court Capote filed more paperwork with the court in December of that year, seeking action in his case. Both times, defense attorney Bruce Harvey said his client received no response. The prosecution argued they have no documentation of the correspondence the defendant claimed he mailed to the courthouse. The prosecution told the judge Gwinnett County sheriffs asked the feds to place a hold on Capote while he was in their custody based on the warrants in the case, and that was separate from the operations of the DA's office, that he didn't have a hold placed on him based on the indictment. Gwinnett DA Patsy Austin Gaston was in court for the day's hearing.
My promise to the family is to seek justice on this case. And when this problem came up, we made a promise then that we would fight, and we are fighting.
Now, there was no decision from the judge today. Instead, she gave both the defense and prosecution about 3 to 4 more weeks to present some more evidence to her written form of evidence. And then she said she will continue to look over what she heard in court today, review those arguments before making her decision.
The trial for a man charged in a brutal attack of his ex-girlfriend can move forward after 6 years. A judge in Gwinnett County dismissed his motion to dismiss the case after a mistake by prosecutors. Channel 2's Steve Gelbach has been following this one for years.
It's been a long 6 years of waiting, just patiently praying and hoping for the best outcome.
Sabra Williams remembers Keisha Brown as bigger than life and loved living it. She says friends and family were relieved to learn this week a Gwinnett County judge ruled in favor of the district attorney and will give them more time to prosecute Alfredo Capote, serving time in federal prison on unrelated charges.
It seemed like it could go 50-50 one way or the other, but we had faith that they would do what they said they would do.
Judge found no evidence Capote's request was received by the district attorney or clerk's office and denied the motion. In a statement, the DA said, quote, "Our office is tasked with handling a pre-COVID backlog of cases along with the COVID backlog, and we are diligently working out of it. We promised to fight, and we did."
I know that there's still more to go, so it's like hopeful, but no celebrations yet.
Capote's sentence is up, and he could have been released in just 2 weeks, but now he'll stay locked up while awaiting trial.
When Alfredo Capote walked into Keisha Brown's home on April 7th, 2016, he did not come as a stranger. He came as her boyfriend, someone she had let into her life, someone her son had been around. And on that night, he staged a fake robbery, not to steal property, but to steal her freedom, her safety, and her dignity. He bound her. He bound her son. And then he moved Keisha across multiple locations, where she was repeatedly assaulted over a prolonged and violent ordeal. This was not impulsive. This was a man who had thought about what he was going to do, planned how he was going to do it, and used the most intimate kind of access, the access she had willingly given him, as his weapon. But Keisha fought, and Keisha escaped. When she got free, she did not stay silent. She and her son went to authorities and reported everything. Alfredo Capote's name went out across the country. A nationwide manhunt was launched. For a moment, it looked like the system was going to do what it was supposed to do: protect her, pursue him, and deliver accountability. But Capote was gone, and Keisha was left waiting. The weeks between April and July 2016 represent one of the most painful chapters of this entire story, because they show us something deeply uncomfortable about the way we treat survivors. Keisha had done everything right. She reported the crime. She cooperated. She put her name and her son's name on record against a dangerous man. And instead of that making her safer, she remained exposed, vulnerable, in the same city, on the same streets, with a man who had already shown the world exactly what he was capable of doing to her. On July 1st, 2016, Keisha Brown was shot multiple times in the parking lot of a strip mall on Cheshire Bridge Road, an area she knew well, near a beauty salon she frequented. This was not a random act of street violence. Investigators said she had been targeted. The location, the timing, the nature of the attack, all of it pointed to someone who knew her movements. Authorities named Alfredo Capote as a person of interest in her murder. She was 35 years old. Her 36th birthday was the next morning. Her son, the same son who had been bound beside her just 3 months earlier, now had to bury his mother. Let that sit with you for a moment. Before I continue, I want to ask you something in the comments. Do you think the justice system does enough to protect survivors after they come forward? Because Keisha's story forces that question into the open. Tell me what you think below. Now, Alfredo Capote was eventually arrested in April 2017, and after a long and winding legal process, he was convicted in federal court for the crimes connected to the April 2016 kidnapping and sexual assault. That conviction brought some measure of accountability. It meant that what he did to Kisha and her son on that April night was officially recognized by a court of law as federal criminal conduct. But here's the truth that Kisha's family has had to carry every single day since July 1st, 2016. The murder charge was never filed against him. The homicide of Jokisha Brown remains officially unsolved. A man connected to her by violence, named by investigators as a person of interest in her killing, was convicted for what he did to her in April. But the person or persons responsible for her death in July have never been formally charged. That is not justice. That is a fraction of justice. And for a woman who survived as much as Kisha survived, a fraction is not enough. Kisha Brown was not just a crime headline. She was a mother who packed up her life in Jacksonville and drove towards something bigger. She was a woman who gave herself names like Dynasty and Queen Pin because she knew her own worth before the world caught up to it. She was building a career in one of the most competitive entertainment cities in America, doing it independently, doing it while raising a son, doing it on her own terms. She survived a kidnapping that would have broken most people. She reported it when staying quiet might have felt safer. She kept living because that is what she had always done. And the fact that her murder case sits in an open file, without resolution, without charges, without closure for her family, that is something this story refuses to let be forgotten. If you know anything about what happened to Kisha Brown on July 1st, 2016, in Atlanta, Georgia, authorities still want to hear from you. Cold cases only stay cold when people stop talking about them. And one of the most powerful things a community can do for a victim is keep their name alive. Kisha, Dynasty, Queen Pin, Mother, Survivor. She deserved to see 36. She deserved to see everything she was building come to life. And she deserved a justice system that treated her survival as the beginning of her protection, not the end of its responsibility. Her story is not over. Not as long as people are still watching, still asking questions, and still saying her name.